Okay, guys, I have two freeze drying questions for everybody here, and I think that's going to help a lot of everybody who's new with freeze dryers or thinking about getting a freeze dryer. Is first of all, where do you put it? Like, seriously, where do you put it? Like, for real, the reality of where you have it, and then getting things in and out of it and so forth. Like, I'd really would like to know, because everyone says don't put it in your kitchen, which of course mine is in my kitchen, because I didn't think it through completely when I first bought it, because it was on sale at Costco. I've been wanting one for a while, and I just kind of impulse bought it, which I do still love it, but they are just a little bit big. And the big things I've learned about them is, okay, this is the smallest one so far, the Harvest Right brand. This is the Small Home Pro. They're ridiculously heavy. Even the smallest one, I couldn't lift it by myself. Two people. Like, it is heavy, and I tried. Believe me, I tried. And I was just gonna go over the measurements of this one really quick. And I thought I'd stand beside it just so y'all can see proportion-wise. I'm 5'9", about 180, give or take. So the height of this from the ground up is 26.5 inches. There is like a little foot right here. So 26.5 inches tall, and then I guess the depth of it is 18, but you really would have to accommodate probably 20 inches because of the plug. Will be the width. The width is deceiving because the width of the box does not incorporate all this. So the width of the machine itself is just 16 inches. So if you're talking about a table, you would want the minimum of those dimensions, the minimum, because you don't want it to slide off. I was really looking at, and there's like a little foot that's kind of curved underneath here. So you wouldn't want it to be too close to the edge either. So my table width, again, this is just a really sturdy wooden end table. And it's been a good table for me so far. It is 21 inches. It's probably the same, yeah, by 21. So mine's like a square, and it's sturdy. It's a wood, solid wood, because you gotta have something sturdy. So a lot of people do use rolling carts, from what I've kind of observed. They make the plasticky ones. I think Harvest Right website has some that maybe would do okay for the small. I've heard the larger machines though, they're even a little heavy for those plastic rolling tool style carts. I have a good friend who's got like a rolling island kitchen cart. It's a kind of a big one though, with a wood top, and that works pretty good for them. I imagine you could maybe drill holes. Maybe the bigger machines, the hoses are on the back. I don't know. I really wish the design of this hose was on the back, because then I could, you know, scooch it a little bit more forward, put my little pump underneath, which I've tucked it under here, but it's not super convenient, because you have to access your pump, you have to fill it with oil, you do have to change the oil like every 20 to 30 batches. Plus, on the other side, so if y'all can see that hose that goes down to your little vacuum pump, this has been my favorite. It's just a clean, empty Tidy Cat or kitty litter container, because it's kind of got a little lid. So I just leave it there, and I, you know, empty it every time. But you've got a drain hose that comes out of the side over here that you're working with all the time. You're opening that drain valve, you're closing that drain valve. Oh man, squeeze over a little bit. So it probably sticks out of the side of the machine, you know, like maybe 6 inches over here. So for me, the width of the location that I need is honestly from here is like a minimum 37 inches wide to accommodate easy access for this bucket, the machine, the vacuum pump, Premier vacuum pump, on the floor. You know, say if you had a kind of a cool cart, you could tuck it underneath, which I did temporarily. But you're looking at the front, you know, I'm coming up on pretty soon having to change my oil. I don't know. They make big metal utility like kitchen carts. You'd have to see what they're weighted for, because I'd have to look and see how much this weighs. It's heavy. It's heavy, and it's off weight heavy, where I couldn't get all of my, especially from the ground, underneath to lift it up off the ground and get on this table. So plan on 2 people, or buy yourself a lift cart, or rent a lift cart, because you can tilt it and maybe get it up like 2 or 3 inches, but to lift it physically off the ground, anyway. That's a whole nother video. I did make an embarrassing video about that. So I have mine in my kitchen. It's kind of loud. It's not unbearable, but it's kind of like every time I turn a cycle off, I'm always like, oh, it's quiet. You know, like peace and quiet kind of sound. Because it's definitely like, and I've made a few videos with it, with the vacuum pumps, but especially. The machine itself is not real loud. It's, you know, definitely you can hear it like a loud fridge. You can just tell it's going, or maybe slightly louder than that. But when the vacuum pump turns on, it's just a little more mechanical, definitely louder. I would say almost like a window air conditioner unit. It's just kind of loud. The machinery part is kind of loud. So again, mine's in my kitchen because it's the only place currently I have to put it. And I've thought about putting other places. And some of y'all are asking, can I put it in my garage? Can I put it in a shed? The big thing I just like to point out, to caution anyone in who's thinking about doing that, is I've read in the manual, it does have to be kept in a temperature controlled environment and a clean environment, because it is blowing air in and out of here. The vacuum pump, of course, where if it's a clean garage that's temperature controlled, that's the key too. It can't, the machine itself is not supposed to be below, it's right around freezing. It's like 36, 38 degrees or something like that. So it shouldn't be in a too cold of an environment. And then it's also not supposed to be in a crazy hot environment either. I think it says up to like 100 degrees or 105 or 110. And you know, if you have an unheated garage and you live anywhere that's remotely hot in the summer, it's going to get really hot in your garage. So, and then you have to have a power source. You know, these, the small and the medium, luckily, are just a traditional wall outlet. You get anything bigger, the large or extra large, or I'm not even sure what's bigger than that. There's commercial ones and all sorts of things. They require like a dedicated 20 amp breaker. Like, say, I don't know about electricity as much to be knowledgeable about that, but it's a special plug and a special wiring and a special breaker. So that's another thing to think about. Wherever you're going to put it, do you have the right electrical outlet for it? The other thing is you want it to be in a lighted area. Now that I've used it multiple times, I have to say the only thing that's kept me keeping it in my kitchen so far is it's literally like 20 feet from my freezer. And it's convenient because I have counter space, because usually I'm laying out all 5 of my trays. All 5 of these trays. Sorry, I still have parchment paper. I need to clean this off. But so I usually have like 5 of these laid out on my whole counter, and I'm doing whatever I'm making. And then you can load them directly in after it cools, or almost everybody says pre-freeze. So you can get little stackers. I bought the lids off of Harvest Right. I'll go over those real quick. So I think this is worth getting. No matter what machine you get yourself a set of lids, because oftentimes you're prepping things. Like, say I was pre-freezing my bananas, which you don't always have to do, but almost everybody does say that saves time, like quite a bit of time and work of your machine. So I'll get all my trays ready and I just stack them all up. Like I said, then I can get my next one. Normally I don't keep these in here, but I just haven't cleaned up yet. And then I have my next one, and then I have an area in my fridge, or my fridge freezer. I just have a side-by-side where I can just stack these and freeze them. And then you do have to have room in your freezer to do that too. So I did have to clean off a designated shelf that was tall enough to fit 4 of these. Some of the pros and cons I've learned through you all, that I've watched all you freeze drying experts. I think it's either the large or the extra large. Their trays are ginormous. So for me, where I'm kind of just, you know, a wannabe, you know, I'm a gardener, I love canning, I love dehydrating, I love freezing food, I'm just all about food preservation. So it's more like just for like myself and my family. So I don't really do that part of things for a business. They're huge, the trays are huge. And a lot of people say that the tray of it's either the large or the extra large. I'm not 100% sure, I'd have to go back and look. They don't fit in a freezer for pre-freeze. So you have to set them like in a chest freezer. So you'd have to have a big chest freezer that is designated to put like your stacks of 4 or 5, I think I have 5 or 6 trays in those big machines. So just, you know, if you're all gung-ho about it, be reasonable. I'm reining y'all in a little bit. Be reasonable about, if your business, that's one thing. But you're gonna want a chest freezer, you're gonna want it close by, you're gonna want tables to line up all your ginormous trays. So that is the one thing I am a little bit glad about the small, is these fit great in my fridge freezer. The medium is just a little bit bigger. There's an extra set of trays, plus the trays are not too much, maybe like 1 inch or more bigger. But once you start getting up to large and extra large, they're really big. So just keep that in mind. So the convenience of the fridge to freezer has kind of kept me with this in my kitchen. Plus I'm also, like, my kids are grown, I'm an empty nester. I try and time it where, especially if I'm having a bunch of people for dinner, I'm finished with a cycle. And so it's easier. A few times I have not been done with the cycle and it's kind of still been going, and it's been a little bit like everyone migrates to the living room instead of being in the kitchen because it's just kind of loud. I say it's still doable, but this would take up a lot of your counter space. If you're thinking you're going to put on your kitchen counter, which you could, but you're going to need space on either side. It's just, you're using this bucket every time you defrost it. Like, I don't have to keep it there, but I do, because it's just, I use it every time you defrost it, which is after every batch. I have learned that. You defrost it, you start your cycle again, unless it's candy mode, which is totally different. So if you had a shed out in your yard somewhere, you'd be carrying all your trays. Let me get myself a stack of trays. You're going to be carrying all your loaded food trays. So keep that in mind. So another reason I would probably get a big set of lids is because, okay, now this is going to be a long video, of course, because all my videos are long. So I did get 2 sets of trays, by the way. That is one thing I'd recommend. No matter what size of machine you get yourself a second set of trays, because then you could have one set going and it takes forever. 30 hours, 48 hours, 60 hours. It does. You all say it takes me 18 hours, but maybe you live in a really dry climate. Maybe you're not doing candy's totally different, of course. My strawberries took 50 hours. Like almost like 4 days. It took forever. Or no, what would that be? 24 hours is 1 day, 48 hours is 2 days. So it was like going on 3 days, sorry. I'm in kind of my nurse mode mind right now. So it takes a long time. So I plan on 3 days for a lot of things. Because if anything, I'd like to over dry, which you can't technically over dry, but I just want to make sure things are done. So I leave them in there longer just because my strawberries, they took forever. So you'll learn, just learn. Practice. Don't go by what anyone else says, because your hometown is different. The humidity in your house is different. The climate where you live, that does make a difference on how long it's going to take you. Plus what you're drying, how you're cutting it. Like there's a little bit more to it, I'm learning. Okay, so that is 3 trays. Okay, here's 4. So just imagine yourself. This is the reality check that you need. You got this all loaded up with food and you're carrying it now. Hopefully it's not liquidy. That would be one of the benefits of pre-freezing a liquid, because then it's going to be in a solid state by the time you carry it and put it in here. Okay, so you're carrying your, now what are you going to do? You got to pop all these off, and then you got to slide them in, you know, in here once the machine's running. So just think about those kind of steps. So you're carrying it out to your backyard, you're going to carry it out to your garage, you're going to want a table nearby, a prep table, either way. Just for that purpose, for setting things down. When you get ready to take things out after it's done, you're going to want an area where you set them. Because then once they're dry, they're going to be more, they might roll around a little bit depending on what you're using. You're going to want to protect them. You're going to want to probably bag them up right away. You're either going to put them into Mylar bags and seal them. It does come with your little impulse sealer. You don't vacuum seal these. They kind of automatically suction in a little bit on their own with the oxygen absorber. So this is going to be your longest storage, and then you can see I did seal the top. These are kind of my test bags. Or of course you can do jars. And I'm kind of still playing around with the jars a little bit. Jars, they kind of take a lot of space. Actually, I was eating this. This is corn I did. So I've mainly just done fruit and vegetables. I think I did do ham once, but I haven't tried it. I think it's dry. I did. I'm sure it's fine. But I don't know why meat just freaks me out a little bit. But the fruits and vegetables I'm loving. Love, love, love. I've done Skittles like 4 times, which I wasn't intending it to be like it, but they're pretty easy and everybody loves them. I did them for Christmas. A lot of people do candy. You do have to be careful because some things expand, especially marshmallowy type things. So really do your research before you just throw something in there. A lot of things expand, especially candy, I'm learning. So it's better to, sometimes people cut things in a force or way smaller, and then they give a lot of space. So just do your research, because there's a lot of fails too. You'll see, join some groups, you know, some social media groups all about freeze drying, and I've learned a lot on here on TikTok, people commenting or in other groups and things like that. So it's just kind of know the reality of how much space it's going to take, the electrical requirements that are needed. You're going to want it in a lighted area. You're going to want it in a temperature controlled area. And then like a prep surface and a proximity probably to a freezer, whether it's a fridge freezer or a chest freezer. So just, that's something really important to know. As far as if it's worth it, because mine cost on sale like right around $1,600 at Costco. They're having their, you know, big sale. And that's what kind of reeled me in, because I think the regular price of this one was like $2,200, give or take. And Costco's still been having them, not every state apparently, because I've had some of y'all message me that your Costco doesn't have them. And I think it's just an in-store only promotion. And I don't know, maybe they're going to keep having more, because I think our Costco here in Idaho keeps getting sold out. I have to say I'm a teensy bit on the fence as far as, it's a big investment, first of all. And then plus not only there's just a machine, you have to get oil for the pump, which isn't, you know, it's like $20 or $16. You can filter your oil, but then I got an extra set of trays, and I got an extra set of lids, and then I got some silicone liners, which a lot of people do use parchment paper. I did get one set of silicone liners. And then you got some Mylar bags, which you'll get one set. I do already have a ton of jars. But I'm just, because I do a lot of other food preservation methods. Like, I do love dehydrating. Like, and this is not, I'm not like bashing on Harvest Right or anything like that. I think there's maybe a teensy bit of a momentum. I don't know if it's like a viral, I don't even know what to call it. They're new. So they're very interesting. Even though I was like, oh, I'm all about food preservation. So I'm like, I really want one. But now that I've had it several months, and also it's not garden season right now. maybe that's where I'm having a little bit like